particularly going after her wonderful half-sister, Samantha.
And suddenly you just have my mom, who's classy and quiet and there, and then you have the other side of my family that is just...
Oh my gosh, you guys! It started like the tiniest whisper, but now it's exploded into a full-blown legal earthquake. Meghan Markle, yes, the Duchess of Sussex herself, is suddenly staring down the kind of courtroom chaos no one thought would ever actually happen, especially since the media had basically labeled her irrelevant and moved on. But guess who just marched back onto the scene? Her half-sister, Samantha Markle. And honey, Samantha is not just dusting off an old case. No. She's coming back with a vengeance. Sharper, louder, and dripping with so-called receipts. And get this, insiders are already whispering that Meghan's inner circle is spiraling into full-on panic mode.
Only for a day and a half. Suddenly, it felt like she was everywhere. I don't know your middle name. I don't know your birthday. I hadn't had her fall out with her. We didn't have a closeness to be able to have that.
Let's rewind for a sec, because this is not just some silly sibling spat or tabloid drama anymore. What's unfolding now feels like a cold, calculated legal ambush, and it's slicing straight into the carefully polished image Meghan has been building ever since that explosive Oprah interview. Remember how back then Meghan was painted as the brave victim bearing her soul to the world? Well, Samantha's team is now saying, oh please, that was nothing but a performance. They're suggesting her truth was just a perfectly staged show, complete with mood lighting, tears on cue, and emotional music swelling in the background. And this time, Samantha's crew claims they've cooked up a legal strategy sharp enough to slice right through it. Because let's not forget, Samantha's first defamation case, it got tossed almost instantly.
The victim of those vicious attacks, Samantha Markle, joins me now to give her side of the story. And look, Samantha, we had Tom Bauer on earlier, who is obviously...
Back then, judges ruled that Meghan's words were just opinions, not actual, provable facts, so they couldn't be challenged in court. But here's the juicy twist. That dismissal didn't kill the case. Oh no. Legal insiders say it actually handed Samantha's lawyers a cheat sheet, a blueprint showing exactly what went wrong, and they used it. This new appeal, it doesn't waste time recycling old complaints. It's gone for the jugular. It's not about the words anymore. It's about intent. Samantha's team is screaming that Meghan didn't just share her truth, and she engineered it, fully aware it would shred her half-sister's reputation. Just imagine that. They're not arguing about the surface of Meghan's words anymore. They're accusing her of plotting.
So she's trying to make out there that she has no form of relationship with you.
Well, that's been the rhetoric so far, and I think, you know, I was never out there saying...
Now, the fight isn't about what Meghan said. It's about what she knew when she said it. And wow, that changes everything. This isn't about some hurt feelings or a misunderstanding anymore. This is about whether Meghan deliberately used her global platform to crush someone who had zero power to fight back. And if that sticks, oh, it rewrites the whole game. This stops looking like a messy family feud and starts looking like a power play, a strategic character assassination. Samantha's lawyers are even hinting they've dug up private communications to prove it. We're talking emails, texts, maybe even recordings, suggesting Meghan's team expected backlash against Samantha and rolled with it as part of the plan. Like they weren't caught off guard, they wanted it. They carefully staged Meghan as the glowing star and shoved Samantha right under the bus.
We thought, my brother and I thought, a pretty normal life. But it wasn't until the time of the wedding when the media started to get to us. In other words, we didn't seek out the media.
And oh, let's talk about that Netflix documentary, because Samantha's team, they've made it the centerpiece of their case. Legal experts are even calling it a second wave of defamation. Unlike the Oprah interview, which was just one emotional night, the Netflix series was plotted, filmed, and polished over months. And that long timeline could be used to argue that Meghan had plenty of time to rethink her words, but chose not to. And here's the kicker. That series went global. We're talking 6 whole episodes, translated into dozens of languages, streamed into over 200 million homes. This wasn't a fleeting soundbite, it became part of pop culture, and Samantha's team is gearing up to say that the damage wasn't just personal anymore, it was international, measurable, and stamped forever into streaming history.
In my opinion, this is what it seemed like. Seal off the hatches so nobody can talk. And almost instantly, it seemed as though dirt was being thrown upon us so that if somebody did speak to us that
Samantha's lawyers are treating that worldwide reach like legal dynamite. They're saying the Netflix series didn't just repeat the old claims, it supercharged them. It cranked up the attack using high-budget editing, dramatic music, flattering visuals, all framed to cast Samantha as the villain on a global stage. And here's Meghan's nightmare. If even a fraction of that argument sticks, her defense could completely collapse. Because once a personal opinion crosses the line into provably false claims made with malicious intent, it's no longer protected speech. It's defamation. Period. And Samantha's team knows exactly how to push it. Their appeal doesn't politely ask the court to reconsider, it demands it. And according to whispers from inside the 11th Circuit, the judges are paying attention. Like, really paying attention. This could be the most dangerous legal moment Meghan Markle has ever faced.
Weren't real in the media and always out there. So it's not like we were out there trying to. Yeah, it was very weird.
And what's so horrible about what she's done in this TV show is
And now, this drama is storming into the courtroom. Only this time, the courtroom. Meghan won't be controlling the cameras or the edit. And the real bombshell isn't just the legal arguments, it's the evidence. Court insiders are whispering that Samantha's legal team is sitting on literal mountains of documentation. Not just emotional stories or vague accusations, but hard receipts. We're talking screenshots, timestamps, police reports, medical files, even psychiatric evaluations. And their goal isn't just to make Meghan look like a villain, it's to stack a case so airtight that even the most skeptical judge can't look away. Sources say the fallout from Meghan's interviews on Samantha's life was brutal. Death threats, not just a few, but hundreds, poured in, so severe that law enforcement had to step in.
particularly going after her wonderful half-sister, Samantha.
And suddenly you just have my mom, who's classy and quiet and there, and then you have the other side of my family that is just acting differently. My half-sister, who I hadn't seen for...
And this wasn't just random trolling. It escalated fast into doxing, stalking, and coordinated smear campaigns that ripped Samantha's life apart. Her lawyers say they can trace the biggest waves of harassment directly to Meghan's public appearances. Like clockwork. Every time Meghan lit up the media, Samantha got buried in hate. That's their key argument. Not just that the harm happened, but exactly when it happened. And what triggered it. They're calling it influencer harassment. The idea that a celebrity's massive reach can unleash an army of anonymous attackers without ever giving direct orders. And their claim is chilling. Meghan knew this would happen, and did it anyway.
Samantha Markle joins me now to give her side of the story. And look, Samantha, we had Tom Bauer on earlier, who has obviously researched both sides of the story, and he's with you. He thinks Meghan is telling porcupines. But let's respond to what she...
By portraying her half-sister as toxic or unstable, Meghan had to know she'd unleash her army of loyal fans and online crusaders. And if a judge buys that framing, oh, the fallout will be massive. Legal experts are already saying this case could redefine how defamation works in the social media era. If Samantha wins, it could mean celebrities can't hide behind just sharing my story anymore. Not if that story causes measurable harm to private people who can't defend themselves. So Meghan isn't just accused of saying cruel things, she's accused of weaponizing her fame. And for Samantha, the damage goes even deeper.
Dirt was being thrown upon us so that if somebody did speak to us, that we would have no credibility. So it was an interesting phenomenon, and this vicious cycle of wanting to set the record straight, wondering what was going on with her, wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt, and still all the while feeling like...
Because this damage, it's not just reputational, it's psychological. Samantha's lawyers have lined up mental health experts who are ready to testify that she suffered severe emotional trauma, PTSD, and ongoing anxiety, all directly tied to Meghan's statements and the chaos that followed. They're submitting therapy transcripts, clinical diagnoses, even prescription records. Their goal? To prove this wasn't some passing emotional reaction. It was a full-on mental health crisis that changed the course of her life. And now, there's a whole new layer surfacing, and it's sending shockwaves straight through Meghan's inner circle.
Wow.
Firstly, yeah, wow, what a porcupine. When that happened, also at the same time, we had found out that with my dad's heart attack, the Queen and King Charles wanted to reach out, but we heard that my sister said no. Similarly with this, I just recently found
Discovery. That one word is making Meghan's team sweat bullets. Because if this appeal moves forward, Meghan could be forced to hand over everything. Private emails, texts, production notes from before, during, and after those headline-grabbing interviews. That means messages with Netflix producers, Oprah's team, her PR advisors, all of it could be dragged into court and picked apart. And insiders say Samantha's lawyers are aggressively gunning for every single crumb. Their mission isn't just to prove Meghan's words were misleading, it's to prove she orchestrated the entire narrative from the very start.
speak. I wanted my kids to be raised with their grandparents because I didn't trust babysitters. When I was dealing with disability and having to work, I didn't know anyone in Los Angeles well enough that I felt safe with that. So I felt like I was doing the admirable
because you're in a
thing.
wheelchair, Sam, and you were going through.
And here's the accusation that's sending Meghan's whole camp into meltdown. Samantha's team is claiming Meghan knew exactly what she was doing, that she knew her words would spark outrage, that they'd cast her family in a damaging light, and that she and her team didn't just accept that fallout, they embraced it. They say she saw it as fuel to build her brand. Suddenly, that shiny defense of, "I was just telling my truth," starts crumbling like stale cake. Because if behind-the-scenes messages show her actively shaping her story for maximum impact, then girl, that's not truth-telling. That's brand building on someone else's broken reputation. And what has Meghan's legal team absolutely shaking? This fight isn't just about one bitter sibling anymore.
Was lied to, and my sister, in fact, was the one reportedly who told Ashley she couldn't go to the wedding. So I felt like she was manipulating my daughter, lying to her. And that's really sad because my daughter seemingly was holding a grudge and feeling like I was the reason she couldn't come to the wedding.
It's as if Meghan is now trying.
This isn't just about Meghan. This is about the survival of the entire Sussex brand. Because if this goes to trial and Meghan loses, oh, the fallout won't stop at the courtroom doors. Hollywood execs, brand sponsors, media producers, they're all perched on the edge of their seats watching every move. One guilty verdict, and they could all start cutting ties overnight, and Samantha's lawyers know it. They're not just aiming to win in court, they're aiming to shut down the whole Sussex media machine with one brutal strike. What started as whispers in courthouse hallways is now exploding across national headlines. And Meghan's defense team, they're staring straight at their worst nightmare because the appeals court isn't brushing Samantha off this time. It's listening closely.
And by the way, what you're saying is completely correct, Samantha, because I've spoken to lots of my own royal sources as well, and they were always very clear. They never told Meghan who to invite to her own wedding. The
court isn't just hearing Samantha's claims, it's dissecting them like surgeons. Judges are reportedly asking whether Meghan's polished media training and her perfectly curated PR tactics actually undermine her claim of innocent storytelling. And that is the danger zone. Because this case isn't just about what Meghan said anymore. It's about how rehearsed, refined, and intentional those words may have been. And the looming turning point? It could come down to one explosive idea: weaponized storytelling. Legal experts are whispering that Samantha's appeal paints Meghan as someone who didn't use emotional storytelling to heal or inspire, but to manipulate, to twist perception, to tear others down while polishing her own halo. And now, Meghan's public statements are being lined up side by side with her private communications, and together they paint a chilling picture. The argument is clear: Meghan's interviews, her documentaries, all those glossy productions weren't about truth. They were about optics, framing, leverage. Insiders are whispering that royal legal advisors are quietly scrambling, trying to assess how exposed they might be if subpoenas start flying. Because if this spirals, it won't just be Meghan on the hot seat. It could drag in palace advisors, press officers, maybe even certain royals who were secretly texting her during that chaotic period. This threat of discovery spillover is hanging like a storm cloud, ready to burst wide open. And while that danger builds in the courtroom, Meghan's once golden standing in the entertainment world is already wobbling. Industry insiders are murmuring that studios and streaming giants are quietly pulling back. Deals that once seemed rock solid are suddenly on pause, and it's all because of morality clauses. Those allow companies to instantly sever ties if a partner is guilty of wrongdoing, or even just becomes too controversial. So if this lawsuit leads to a defamation ruling, it could spark a domino effect of cancellations and contract terminations. And that's not the only battlefield. There's public trust, and Meghan's is hanging by a thread. Remember, she built her brand as the woman who gives a voice to the voiceless. But if the court decides she used her massive platform to bully someone with less power, her carefully polished image could collapse in a single day. Samantha's attorneys are reportedly preparing to hammer this point in their closing arguments. The Duchess, who preached kindness, now cast as the public figure accused of inflicting emotional destruction. And the fallout might not stop at her reputation, it could hit her bank account too. Because a successful defamation ruling wouldn't just mean a huge payout, it could also open the floodgates for other relatives or individuals who feel they were damaged by Meghan's past narratives to come forward. Legal analysts are warning, once one domino falls, the rest could topple fast. And for Meghan, the courtroom is no longer just a legal battlefield. It's the stage where everything she's built is hanging in the balance.